Lesbians Adventure 2. The dorm room was quiet except for the faint hum of crickets outside. Alyssa sat cross-legged on her bed, flipping through her literature notes. Kayla, on the other hand, was sprawled across her bed, scrolling on her phone with an air of mischief that Alyssa was starting to recognize. "You know," Kayla began, her tone casual but loaded with suggestion, "there's this club we usually go to on weekends." Alyssa looked up, frowning. "A club? You mean like a nightclub?" "Yeah," Kayla said, her lips curling into a sly smile. "It's not far from here, and trust me, it's the best way to let loose after a long week of pretending to be perfect little students." Alyssa raised an eyebrow. "I thought we weren't allowed to leave the school premises after 10 p.m. Kayla laughed, a rich sound that made Alyssa smile despite herself. "Oh, you're adorable," Kayla said, sitting up. "Don't worry, I'll teach you many things. We have our ways. So, are you interested?" Alyssa hesitated. "What if we get caught?" Kayla's expression turned serious, but her eyes still held a spark of excitement. "If anything goes wrong, you take full responsibility. You don't mention anyone else's name. That's code 101 here. But..." She leaned in closer, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "I know nothing will go wrong. You just need to relax, be free, and enjoy life. Here at Brookhaven, we have a saying, pass through school, but also let school pass through you." Alyssa chuckled at that, shaking her head. Okay, I'll come along, but only this once." Kayla beamed, her excitement contagious. "I'm happy to hear that." She paused, her eyes narrowing playfully. "Do you have a mini-skirt?" Alyssa blinked, caught off guard. "A mini-skirt? No, I don't." Kayla waved her hand dismissively. "Don't worry, I've got plenty. I want all eyes on us when we walk in. Trust me, we're going to own that place." Before Alyssa could respond, Kayla hopped off her bed, already pulling open her wardrobe. "Let me go check in with the other girls. We need to coordinate how we're leaving. You just sit tight and get ready to be amazed." Alyssa watched her go, feeling a mix of nerves and excitement swirling in her chest. This was so far out of her comfort zone, but something about Kayla's energy was irresistible. An hour later, Kayla burst back into the room with a triumphant grin. "All right, the plan is set. We're slipping out after lights out. The others are meeting us by the east gate." Alyssa stood nervously by her bed, holding the mini-skirt Kayla had tossed her earlier. "Are you sure about this? I don't even know how to... I've never been to a club before." Kayla crossed the room, placing a reassuring hand on Alyssa's shoulder. "Relax. You've got me. Just follow my lead." Alyssa looked down at the skirt, a tiny, shimmering black number that seemed way out of her league. "This feels... short." Kayla smirked. "That's the point. Trust me, you're going to look amazing. Now hurry up and change. We don't have all night." The girls slipped through the darkened halls of the dorm, their laughter muffled as they tiptoed toward the east gate. Two other girls were already waiting, both dressed to the nines and clearly seasoned rule-breakers. "You brought the new girl?" one of them asked, raising an eyebrow at Alyssa. "She's with me," Kayla said firmly, her tone leaving no room for argument. "And she's going to have the time of her life." The group navigated their way through the campus, dodging the occasional flicker of a flashlight from a patrolling guard. By the time they reached the club, Alyssa's nerves had been replaced by adrenaline. The music hit her first, a pounding rhythm that seemed to vibrate through her entire body. The lights were dim and colorful, casting an otherworldly glow over the crowd of dancing bodies. Kayla leaned in close, her lips brushing against Alyssa's ear so she could be heard over the music. "Welcome to the real Brookhaven experience." Alyssa couldn't help but laugh, letting Kayla drag her onto the dance floor. For the first time in a long time, she felt free, completely and utterly free. As they danced, Alyssa felt a strange thrill when Kayla's hand lingered on her waist, their eyes meeting in a way that made the rest of the world fade away. A night to remember. The bass of the music pulsed through Alyssa's body as she moved to the rhythm, her nervousness fading with every beat. The club was alive, a swirl of lights and energy, and for the first time in a long time, Alyssa felt like she belonged to something vibrant and free. Kayla was close. Closer than Alyssa expected. She slid behind Alyssa, her hands resting lightly on Alyssa's hips, guiding her movements in time with the music. "You're a natural," Kayla whispered into Alyssa's ear, her voice low and smooth. Alyssa laughed, glancing over her shoulder. "I've never done this before."
"Well," Kayla said, her lips curving into a playful smile, "you're doing just fine." They moved together, their bodies in sync with the beat. Alyssa couldn't ignore the way Kayla's touch lingered, the way her presence made the crowded room feel like it was just the two of them. "Relax," Kayla murmured, her breath warm against Alyssa's ear. "Let go. Just feel the music." And Alyssa did. She let herself lean into the moment, into Kayla, and for the first time that night, she wasn't thinking about rules or consequences. She was just there. The walk back to the dorm was quiet but charged with unspoken energy. The night air was cool against their flushed skin, and their footsteps echoed softly in the stillness. "That wasn't so bad, was it?" Kayla asked, glancing at Alyssa with a teasing smile. Alyssa shook her head, a small laugh escaping her lips. "Not bad at all." Kayla nudged her playfully. "See? I told you to trust me." As they slipped through the east gate and back into the dorm, Kayla turned to Alyssa, her expression softening. "You're full of surprises, you know that?" Alyssa raised an eyebrow. "Me? You're the one who sneaks out like it's nothing." Kayla laughed, her eyes glinting with mischief. "I guess we make a good team then." Back in their room, the tension from earlier still hung in the air, but it had shifted into something warmer, more intimate. Alyssa flopped onto her bed, her laughter filling the room. "I still can't believe we pulled that off." Kayla leaned against the window, her arms crossed as she watched Alyssa with a quiet smile. "You were amazing out there." Alyssa looked up, her cheeks warming under Kayla's gaze. "I just followed your lead." Kayla pushed off the wall, walking over to sit on the edge of Alyssa's bed. "You didn't just follow. You owned it." For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence wasn't awkward. It was heavy with possibilities, with words left unsaid. "You make it look easy," Alyssa said softly, her voice barely above a whisper. Kayla tilted her head, her gaze steady. "You make it feel easy." Alyssa's breath hitched as Kayla reached out, tucking a stray curl behind her ear. The touch was light, almost hesitant, but it sent a ripple through the air between them. "Kayla," Alyssa began, her voice faltering. Kayla smiled, her fingers lingering for just a moment longer. "Get some rest. We've got class tomorrow, remember?" Alyssa nodded, her heart pounding as Kayla stood and moved to her own bed. As the room settled into quiet, Alyssa lay awake, her mind replaying the night over and over. She wasn't sure what was happening between her and Kayla, but for the first time in her life, she wasn't afraid to find out. Alyssa turned toward Kayla, her voice breaking the stillness. "Kayla, are you happy?" Kayla's soft reply came from the dark. "I think I'm getting there." Alyssa sat on her bed, scrolling through her phone, but her mind kept drifting to Kayla. She glanced over and noticed Kayla lying on her back, staring up at the ceiling. Her usual spark seemed dim, and it gnawed at Alyssa. "Kayla, are you okay?" Alyssa asked softly. Kayla turned her head slightly, flashing a small smile. "Yeah, I'm fine." Alyssa wasn't convinced. "Are you sure?" Kayla hesitated, then sighed, her voice barely above a whisper. "I'll feel better if you can join me here." Alyssa blinked, caught off guard. "Join you?" Kayla nodded, patting the empty space beside her. "Yeah, come lay down. I promise I won't bite." Alyssa hesitated, unsure what to say. Finally, she murmured, "If it'll make you feel better." She slid off her bed and climbed onto Kayla's, lying beside her. Kayla turned onto her side, resting her head on her hand as she gazed at Alyssa. Her fingers gently brushed through Alyssa's hair. "You're so beautiful," Kayla said, her voice soft and filled with emotion. Alyssa's cheeks warmed under Kayla's gaze, but she didn't pull away. "You're kind, smart, and strong," Kayla continued, her fingers moving delicately through Alyssa's curls. "And you don't even realize how amazing you are." Alyssa smiled shyly, unsure how to respond. Kayla leaned down and pressed a gentle kiss to Alyssa's forehead. "If I say or do anything you don't like, tell me to stop. I mean it." Alyssa nodded, her voice soft. Kayla will put her hands on Alyssa's chest and bring out her orange. She will lick it. Alyssa will gasp. "I know you like it. Your orange is so sweet and lovely. Can you do the same to me, please?" Kayla will take Alyssa's hand and place on her own orange. "Touch it," she will say. "I'm going under. If you don't like it, let me know." The night passed in quiet intimacy, the two of them talking softly and enjoying every moment until they drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Alyssa woke to the sensation of Kayla's fingers lightly tracing the strands of her hair. She blinked her eyes open to find Kayla's warm gaze on her. "Good morning, princess," Kayla said with a soft smile. Alyssa chuckled, stretching lazily. "You sound like my dad. That's what he calls my mom, especially when he wants a favor from her." Kayla grinned. "Well, that shows we women can be just as lovely to each other as men are to us." Alyssa laughed, shaking her head. "You want to start a feminism discussion this early in the morning?" Kayla smirked. "No, my princess. I'll zip my mouth." They lay there for a moment, the morning light spilling softly into the room. Finally, Alyssa broke the silence. "Kayla, about last night." Kayla sat up slightly, propping herself on her elbow, her eyes searching Alyssa's. "Be honest with me," she said gently. "Tell me what you feel. Just know this. I enjoyed every bit of it. And also know that I love you, Alyssa. I love you so much, but I'll respect whatever you say." Alyssa stared at her, her heart racing. She swallowed, gathering her thoughts. I also enjoyed last night. The adventure of sneaking out. The party." Kayla interrupted with a teasing grin. "What did you enjoy about the party? The way I was rocking you from behind?" Alyssa laughed, her cheeks flushing. "You're very good at it." Kayla leaned closer, her voice soft. "And what about after? Did you enjoy that too?" Alyssa nodded, her gaze steady. "I did. Even though it was my first time, I've never felt like that before. But can we take things slowly? See how it goes?" Kayla's face lit up with a smile, her relief evident. "I understand. It's just... You're so beautiful, Alyssa. I don't want anyone to take you away from me." Alyssa smiled, reaching out to squeeze Kayla's hand. "I'm here. It's just the two of us. So don't worry. No one's taking me away." Kayla exhaled deeply, her smile widening. "I'm happy to hear that." She sat up, brushing her braids back. "Come on, princess. Let's take a shower so we're not late for this Saturday artwork lecture." Alyssa laughed, rolling out of bed. "I guess I can't say no to that." The two of them headed for the bathroom, the warmth of their shared moment lingering like sunlight on a clear morning.